Hello, my gorgeous ladies. Welcome to Lingerie and Lattes. I am so excited to bring you another episode for this Friday. The topic for today is going to be all about the intimacy and pleasure that we receive in our bodies. So, if you don't know who I am, I'm Olivia Drumaga, and I founded Vulcanability back in 2020 as a way for women and men to create monogamous, fulfilling relationships. And the way we are able to accomplish that is by really unpacking our sexual traumas, which can be stored within the body. And they're really blockages in order for us to experience connection, intimacy, and a sense of pleasure with ourselves and our partners. So why do we even talk about this? A lot of the times I've noticed that people get very uncomfortable around the subject of pleasure, specifically their own. And I wonder about this because there's many things that we take care of for ourselves. There's the nutritional aspect, the style aspect, fashion, the way we look. Maybe that's a hairstyle, makeup choices, permanent makeup, even and so forth. So there's all of these aesthetic changes that we do in order to create a more um, experience of attraction for ourselves. When we look into the mirror, we want to think that we're attractive, and also for a potentially a partnership or some sort of dating. So if we're doing so much to externally appease and maybe create a bit of a charm to entice people inwards, I wonder, why are we not putting in the same amount of effort to actually experience this pleasure that we've wanted to call in? There's a lot of times that women claim to have experienced orgasms, but they really have to think hard, and they almost have to convince themselves. Now, the only reason I know that is because I was one of those women. Previously, I could never experience an orgasm. And so when people would mention it or talk about it, obviously nobody wants to feel left out of a conversation like that. So it's kind of like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. And then meanwhile, that sort of brushing off um, is creating a brushing off experience with your own pleasure means that you're not really prioritizing yourself and the pleasure that you can experience, because you can always ask more questions like, oh, well, what did an orgasm feel like for you? If remember, every single person's experience is going to be different, because there's also different orgasms that we can experience. It's not just one single type that people may have portrayed a lot in movies, but there's the expansive one, which is an outwardly. There's one that's inward. There's one that could shake through your entire body. There's others that are just specifically focused on erogenous zones, such as a nipple orgasm, a clitoral one, something related to not even penetration, but also these stimulations that can happen in parts of the body, or a full body experience from stimulating a single part. We have squirting orgasm, which are the ones that are external. There's also internal ones where everything feels like it's flowing within you, and you can use your breath for that. So if we are exploring this subject, and we're already in the season of October. It's October 13th, Friday the 13th, which is actually one of my luckiest days. I never really connected to the superstitions that we have in America. I always loved Friday the 15th, the 13th, and it's also my sister's birthday, so it's just always felt like a lucky day for me. And I can create a new connotation that avoids the superstitious nature of propaganda and creating these fear-based egregores, as my mentor calls them. So, why am I going there? Because we can harness the energy that's present in October and in this spooky vibe to go deeper within ourselves. Everything about this season is regarding shadow work. And the only way we are able to access pleasure in our bodies is by really asking ourselves, well, what has blocked you from pleasure? And that could be very simple reminders of, let's say, an assault you had, or perhaps there's one comment that somebody said during your intimate time that just stuck with you and has weighed you down. By the way, you can rewire all of these things, including creating intimate pleasure after being assaulted, sexually assaulted. I have helped one of my clients do just that, where she is in a state of excitement and a desire for being intimate with her husband, whereas before it was this sort of dissociation. So there's the ability to overcome that. There's the ability to overcome you lying to yourself that you've had an orgasm, because it really takes the experience of accepting that you've never had in order to learn how to. And I promise you, there will be no question in your mind whether you've had one or not. So if you would like to learn more, please help yourself develop a, tools that you can ask deeper questions to the blockages standing between you and your pleasure. I do offer two things that can potentially help with this for you. One of them is the sexual workbook that I have. It's, I believe, only $12 as an ebook, but it takes you through your blueprint for sexuality and relationships and intimacy. So you at least can know where you're starting and what are your triggers, and perhaps where you can put your attention to then rewire your body for intimacy. And there's also the Vulcanability Library, which I'm sure you've heard about. We have different exercises there to start sensitizing the vulva area, the stomach region, and your breasts. I also offer a lot of insight into breast massage, which is extremely important with orgasms because the breasts are covering our heart and our chest. And if we focus on the energy centers of the heart, the receptivity, she needs to really be in a state of openness. And I have this little pendant that's a heart. I don't think you can really see it, but we have the ability to open up our heart centers, which then kind of opens up the floodgates downstairs so we can feel good in receiving pleasure and in giving it. With that, my beautiful ladies, please go check out the workbook, the Vulcanability Workbook, as well as the library, and choose which one is right for you to take the next step into empowering your sexuality. Thank you so much, and have a magical Friday.